Chief Oju of the Curriculum Committee here at Black Hammer. We need you, revolutionary educators, whether you're teaching in your school or teaching your kid the revolutionary ABCs at the work. We need you to join our curriculum committee so we can teach our young people, our members, and everyone out there about Black Hammer's revolutionary anti-colonial line, all right? Join today, and let's get to teaching our people.
Land back. Land back. Good morning.
Good morning, Good morning.
Good morning, Chisundiata. It is a beautiful, beautiful morning, ain't it?
Truly is.
Yes, a beautiful morning for revolutionary work, a beautiful morning for political education, a beautiful morning to say hello to our comrades. Okay, intro. Yeah, lay back. Lay back. As you're coming into the room, making sure that you are liking, sharing, and commenting on this live, because we know that there might be some people going to church, but there's also some people who need that revolutionary church. Exactly. And that is the Revolutionary Book Chap. All right.
And we are reading the good book today. We're reading the good book of Honorable Marcus Garvey.
Yes.
So share it out. Get it to all your peoples. Get it to your friends, your family, your enemies, right? Let them know what we're doing. It might scare them a little bit because this is what we are building, right? Land back, Chief Fatih. You got Rep Core in the house too, y'all. Don't be afraid to go ahead and keep sharing this and drop a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you are clicking subscribe and also clicking notifications. All right, it's important that we are getting our notifications about political education. You don't want to just get randomly and just happen across Black Hammer. You want to be able to access Black Hammer whenever you need to. And so make sure that you're hitting subscribe and hit notifications. That way we are getting you that political education that you need. All right.
And when you share it, drop hashtag share, just like Reset of the Rep Corps did. Let us know that you're sharing it out. Even let us know how many times or how many groups you're sharing it to, so we can know that you're pushing this PE. Land back, Kamarada, Shukshi as well. Good morning,
Land back, Shukshi, yeah, rising up nice and early for the book chap. Yes,
that's that Pacific time. That's that real revolutionary grind.
Yes.
Earlier.
Land back, Minister Mace, Minister of Defense, tasked with keeping us protected and safe. They know how to do that. They have been keeping us safe this whole time right now, especially with our Atlanta chapter, fighting against these enemies that are within our people, our own sellouts. Land back, Rohan. Land back, Chief Rohan.
Land back, Share.
Land back.
Good morning, y'all.
Yes. And if you're share into Facebook groups. I've been sharing to so many Facebook groups. They told me to stop. Facebook is like, hold up, wait a minute. You ain't gonna do this for a little bit. And so I need y'all to make it up for me. I can't share for me right now. I want you to share into all your Facebook groups, whether they are about sewing, whether they're about cooking, whether they're about sports, whatever they're about. You need to share this revolutionary book to those lines.
All of them.
Yes. And then also, even more importantly, I want you to tweet this out. All right. So you got all them people watching your Twitter. You got all them people watching your Twitter. You got people who you don't even know are watching your Twitter. So what I want you to do is copy the link to this Facebook Live or copy the link to this YouTube and put it into your tweets. All right. And once you tweeted it, I want you to do hashtag tweeted as well. All right. I'm gonna actually tweet while I do this, and you'll see somehow magically I'll get it done while all y'all are watching me do this. So, but yes, everyone, I want you to tweet.
Activate those Twitter fingers, y'all. Activate those. You be tweeting about the food you be eating or somebody who be ticking you off, but tweet about the people and the need for political education and organization, right? And use that Twitter for a revolutionary cause, right? Let's get this out there to everybody.
Yes, land back. And if you are new to this show, this is the Revolutionary Book Chat brought to you by Black Hammer Organization. This is a political education series every single week where we talk about a revolutionary book that informs us of how we do our work, informs us of what we have to do, what we shouldn't do, right? All these things that give us a framework for the conditions that we experience as colonized people today. And so without this, with political education, we would be lost. Without political education, we would not have the direction that we need to do work. We would just be reacting to the world. But instead, now we are being informed about what we have to do, and therefore can be scientists about the world. We
Scientific.
can try things out, see what works and doesn't work. Right. For instance, the revolutionary political education we get tells us that we have to always be with the people.
Mm-hmm.
And that science always works out. Every time we're with the people, we always see success, right? And so that's what political education teaches us. Political education teaches us how to work. And also, what's important about this political education is that it informs people about who you are. You know, about our history. We don't get our history as colonized people, at least taught to us. We don't get it taught to us truthfully. We don't actually learn who we are and where we come from. We just learn the ways that we have served white power, right?
The lies that they tell about us. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And so this political education pushes us beyond that. So yeah, I see people tweeted, #tweeted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, over 35 times. All right. Okay, I'm loving it.
Back, City Builder B, happy Black August.
Yes.
Yes, we are celebrating our African revolutionaries all August long.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrate the traditions of, Black revolutionaries, from Marcus Garvey to all the heroes that we know and we learn from scientifically at the Black Hammer organization, who have, proven that African people have revolutionary capabilities and are brilliant.
Yes, exactly. Land back. So why don't we introduce ourselves and introduce our book, because we are talking about Black August. So go ahead, Chief Sundiata, introduce
Absolutely, yes. So I am Chief Sundiata. I'm the Chief of Defense Training for our Defense Office and our apparatus here at the Black Hammer organization. I represent the nations of Africa as well as Turtle Island, and I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm super excited to be here again for another episode of the Book Trap with you, Chief Oju.
Yes, land back, and I am Chief Oju. I represent the nations of Africa and Boriken, working class. You see here pronouns. And I am, yes, the Chief of Agitation and Propaganda, right? And so this is what we are doing at Black Hammer. We use every resource we have to make sure that people are informed. And so let's get into it. What book are we reading, Chief Sundiata?
We are reading Visions of Africa by the Honorable Marcus Garvey.
Hey, yes. Yes, we're deep into it now. We're at parts 3 and 4 of the book. And so if you want to follow along, you can go to blackhammer.org/library. And that's where you can get the PDF of the book, so you can follow along and learn more about what Marcus Garvey was about and what his enemies thought of him and what his fans thought of him, right? Because Marcus Garvey was a polarizing figure only to those who didn't unite with the interests of their own people. That's who it was polarizing to, right? It was also polarizing to white power as well, but to the poor working class African masses, no, Marcus Garvey was not polarizing.
Perfectly rational.
Yeah, it was rational. It was a hero, right? And so we're gonna get into parts 3 and 4, but before we do that, we want to raise a little bit of money, because as we know, revolution always needs resources. Without resources, you cannot do the things that are required for your people, right? Our people need material things in order to survive, in order to make sure that they can carry out the revolution that they need, right? And so what we do is we provide K95 masks, right? We provide food. We provide housing. There's lots of things that we provide for our people. And so those things require resources. And so we need you to help support those efforts. We need you to help make sure that our people can get those material things they need so that they can become the people that are ready to carry on revolution. We already got $4. Hey.
Okay, land back.
Land back. Hey. So donate anything. If you got $1, you could donate $1. If you got $100, you could donate $100. If you are white, you need to be paying reparations, and you can pay reparations of any amount, right?
High amount. Big amount.
High amounts. That's what we show.
Because it was a big amount. It was a big amount that y'all looted, so it's got to be a big amount that gets returned, it gets reparated. Yeah, and like Chief Oju was saying, these funds, they go solely to continuing to serve the masses here in Atlanta, right? And one of the hot spots of the coronavirus pandemic, this chapter here, going out 5 a.m., right, on the train, right? Stone cold poor working class folks just headed to work, probably got about 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and we greet them with a smile, with the KN95 mask, right? With a granola bar, right? And those two things, they do cost money, right? So we need to be able to get all of our chapters, our Utah chapter, right? Our Cali chapter, our Colorado chapter, the funds to be able to go out and serve the masses materially, right? It also is important to realize, we got some other material costs when it comes to serving the people. It ain't always about handing things out. For instance, yesterday we was at, that place, that health food store, shame of a health food store, and we was protesting, supporting the survivors there. In order to do that, you know what you need? You need chairs, you need a megaphone, right? You need paper to make flyers, right? Because informing the community about, an alleged serial abuser, an alleged serial rapist, and, a monster in the community, that's serving the people too. And that takes material to support. So remember that you are supporting survivors, right? You are supporting colonized working class people, and you are supporting an effort to make a difference in the lives and the health of people, right? When we order 1,000 KN95 masks and we pass them all out, that's 1,000 lives that are not going to be as affected by coronavirus as they would be if they continue to use cloth masks that the company gives them. If they continue to not wear their masks because they don't understand the importance or don't even know that it does help stop the virus, right? We need to receive funds. We need to fundraise as a people in order to support our own material needs, because it all comes back to us, right? It all comes back to every single one of us being a member of the colonized working class masses.
Yes, land back to the yes, you laid that out perfectly. Because all these resources come back to the people. It's the people's resources come back to the people, which is what the earth intended for us. The earth intended to provide something that we can use and then return to it. Right. And if not the resource, then we return to the earth and become a resource for the earth and to provide for us again. Right. That is the way that we should have a relationship with material things, because that is the only way to sustain life over time. Right. And not just consume and take the life out of others. And so that's why we need everyone today to commit to that same cycle that the earth does and provide so that you can get provided for and therefore provide for others. Right. And so yes, keep on giving donations. I'm gonna donate $25 myself today.
I can match that.
Hey,
match that. We also got Reset from the Rep Corps donating 25. We got Reparations Core Recruit A donating 100. That's good. That's good. Let's get those numbers a little bit higher, because it was more than $125 worth of labor that my ancestors had stolen from them. So we need a little bit more, but it's a good start. It's a good start. And remember, y'all, hoarding wealth, especially in this collapse of the economy, makes you an enemy of the people, right?
Yes.
If you got money burning a hole in your pocket and it's not going towards masks for the people, food for the people, or shelter for the people, you're an enemy of the people who are hungry, right? Who are sick from coronavirus and who are houseless. So come on, give us this cash. We don't hoard it either. It goes straight to the masks, right? It goes straight to the granola bars. It goes straight to the masses. We don't even hold on to it for more than a second.
Yes, exactly. There's Fatigue. G4T is going to match us with $25 too.
There we go.
Hey, yeah. Who else can match us with $25 or $25 times 2 for $50?
We a collective. Let's be uniform.
Right? Yeah,
let's be together.
That's what Chief U.N.I.A has taught me, like throughout their entire time in defense, right? Is to be militant, to be uniform, right? When during protesting at that horrible health food store, U.N.I.A making sure that we maintain that straight line so that we are staying safe on the sidewalk, right? And making sure that our people can still get through while we talk to them, right? That U.N.I.A knows how to keep us in line and in check and keep us uniform. So they have to keep you in check, in line, and uniform with that $25 donation and matching. So whoever got them $25 better get in here and match that. All right. I want at least one more donation of $25 before we keep on moving into our Read That Backs, because this is important, as Chief U.N.I.A laid out. These resources, we can't be hoarding them, even if we feel like, oh, this is a crumbling colony, this is a crumbling economy, and I need something for myself. Well, you're not the only one who might be suffering as this colony crumbles. There's other people just like you. There's a million other mothers just like you. There's a million other teachers just like you. There's a million other workers just like you. There's a million other just regular poor working class colonized people just like you who are going to need something, right? So why not you have something and they have something, right? Why don't we all have something? So let's see who else can match that last $25, and so that we can get into. I'll be the next. Hey,
go coming out of she coming through to match. Come on, some other folks need to get in here and match too. You know, I know that we all are inspired this morning. I hope y'all saw the videos and the pictures from last night.
Yeah,
right? It was exciting. It was dynamic. That's all I'm gonna say. And you know, in order to continue to do that, to stand with survivors, you know, in an organized way, we need your support. We need your support. So.
We do. And like and also if you haven't caught any of those videos, make sure that you go into follow Black Hammer Times on Twitter and follow Black Hammer Times on Facebook. That way you can get all the updates on what we did at these protests yesterday, because our people need to know what's going on there, because that's why our people came to us, because they want us to help them tell more people about what's going on.
Exactly.
So definitely follow us on Black Hammer Times on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, so that you can get those updates. All right.
Okay, I see Chief Ama is gonna be turning that 21 into a 25, or I'm sorry, turn that 4 into a 25 with the help of an extra $21. So they're matching that.
Hey.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So let's okay. I'm feeling good about that. Let's get into our read that backs then. All right. So let's get to our read that backs. In the meantime, still keep sharing, still keep donating. All right. And a pledge again, if you can donate today, you can pledge to donate in the future. You can pledge to donate on Friday when that check come in, when that unemployment come in, right?
Or if you got birthday money on the way, right? If you know that you just gonna have some more bread in a couple weeks, go ahead and let us know so we can reach out to you and make sure that bread gets in the hands of the masses.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Land back. All right. So let's get into our read that backs. As you all have heard already, we're reading Marcus Garvey and the Vision of Africa, and we were reading parts 3 and 4. And parts 3 and 4, we're kind of getting into basically how Marcus Garvey was seen by his critics, right? A lot of them being his enemies. But yes, how Marcus Garvey was seen from the outside, and how like the quote unquote end of his involvement in the U.N.I.A. looked like to the people who were really trying to see his downfall, right? But let's make sure that you were reading. Let's get into our book chat trivia to see who read it. All right.
Attention.
Let's see who was paying attention to the reading. If you were reading parts 3 and 4, we're gonna find out. It's a very easy question. If you get it wrong, you're gonna have to donate $50 because it's an easy question. It's an easy question. So go ahead, Sunyata. What is it?
All right. So Marcus Garvey was imprisoned in which United States city? Was it A, New York City? Was it B, Miami? Okay, a little hot girl summer for Marcus Garvey. Was it C, Atlanta? Or was it D, Philadelphia? Which one? Come on, drop those answers in the comments. Remember, $5 donation for a right answer, $50 donation for a wrong answer. We upping the stakes here. So let's go ahead and get some answers in the chat, and do not cheat.
Do not cheat. Yes, do not cheat. I'm telling you, as I told you before, someone put an answer and everyone followed suit, and they were all wrong. So, make sure you're using your own science and your own reading to figure out if it's the right answer. Let's see. We have C from Shagun, C from City Builder B, C from Camarada Shooksheet.
Okay, it's a couple C's.
All right. See if we get a couple more answers. Let's see. Only Twilight also said C. All right, we'll get a couple more answers. See.
Are they y'all are cheating, or you're just really united?
Yeah, I know. I want to know. I guess I have to believe in the masses colonized people. So
faith.
I have in faith, right? I have faith in them. So I know it is because of unity and because they are committed to political education that they have the answers. Right. And so let's see, we get one more answer, at least one more answer. Let's see if you know A, B, and D.
$150.
I think I was like that. He did move around a lot.
He was everywhere.
That is true.
He was everywhere.
That is true.
He was everywhere. All right. Should we reveal the correct answer, Chief Oju?
Yeah, so they can really reveal the answer.
The correct answer is C, Atlanta. He was in prison briefly in Atlanta, where our headquarters is today.
Yeah, exactly, right. And of course, and definitely Marcus Garvey was in these other cities at some point, right? But as for whenever I read that back, as we're going to see, right, like the letters that he wrote were out of Atlanta, the place where he got in prison after a lot of work from the colonizer government and from his enemies, from his sellout enemies from within the U.N.I.A. who sold them out around the Black Star Line, like we talked about last week. But now we're going to see exactly, what his critics had to say in that moment, in that meantime. So, yeah. So let's get into our first read that back. I believe it's from you, Chief Sundiata, correct?
I believe so as well. So my first read that back is from page 100 of the PDF, which is page 166 in the hard copy of the book. And it begins the 12,000, I'm sorry, that's a much bigger number than 12,000. The 12 million Americans known to be wholly or partly of African descent occupy a position which cannot much longer be tolerated by them. Enslaved as landless peasants or serfs in the agricultural southern states, working at odd jobs in extremist poverty in cities in the north and the south, and just now breaking into big industrial plants as the workers of heaviest labor, excluded from more attractive forms of labor, working for a wage which is much lower than that of other workers, often excluded from trade unions, living in miserable segregated slums, systematically degraded as a low caste by a rigid social code. The Negro masses have a score of issues which are worth life and death to them. Land back. Now, I like that one because it lays out, dialectically what we think of as sort of this blanket umbrella as colonialism in regards to African people in Turtle Island, right? Post-slavery, right? It breaks it down on so many levels of the strife, right? This is 12 million people, right? Who have no land, right? Who are essentially serving as serfs, right? Who are working any job that they can in order to try to escape the most extreme forms of poverty, right? All over the continent. And just now, and I think that, thinking of breaking into the industrial plants as workers of the heaviest labor, right? Like that's not necessarily a good thing, right? But, now being exploited on another level as the, industrial boom is occurring, excluded from good jobs, right? Excluded from sort of these white workers unions, right? Understanding that there was no, class solidarity. There was no workers of the world unite, right? Because these are African people who are slaving away during Reconstruction, right? During this move to these urban areas. And I think that a lot of times we think of slavery, we think of segregation. These things were both bad, but this breaks down the actual strife that African people and African working class people were going through, which makes it very clear to see why, a movement to get land, right? To return to a culture, right? To return to a place where you are not looked down on by everybody as a lower caste, right? Where you can, have dignity in a role or a job that you perform that is not some odd job or, menial labor for crumbs, right? It explains why that would be so enticing, right? Why the U.N.I.A, right? The Universal Negro Improvement Association, right? Because there were a score of issues that needed to be improved upon, or else they would not last as a people, right? This is life and death. So I like to read that back a lot, just because it's a really beautiful way by Garvey to assert in the world's terms, not just sort of our colonial terms, which is slavery happened and Poor black people are poor. It's like serfs, right? Landless, right? And caste system. And I really like the way it breaks it down.
Yes, land back, yes, because this is a realization, Marcus Garvey, that it's a land question. The issue of African people is a land issue.
Exactly.
And that having land to be based off of so that you can improve everything else that is happening in your life. So to have like a place to put your 2 feet where you can then improve your education, where then you can improve your health, where then you can improve your spirituality, that having that place is what's going to ensure that African people are able to liberate themselves. And I think it's so interesting that a lot of the critics that were writing about him, like in the 1920s here, in this part that we read, were saying that his desire to go back to Africa was a petty bourgeois notion. There, like, you had petty boo people saying that going back to Africa was petty boo, and the only reason I could think of for that is because these African intellectual and petty boo sellouts, they never saw Africa as their own land.
Exactly.
Right? They saw the United Snakes as their country, and they saw it as their country to improve their life within, rather than seeing Africa as their home that was stolen from them. Right? And so you see how like the petty boo separate themselves from the land issue, and that when it comes to the land issue, it's not relative to like their home; it's relative to like property. It's still relative to the colonial understanding of what land is and of what home is. Exactly. And so and so Marcus Garvey understood that in order to liberate all the Africans that lived in the snakes, we had to figure out what the land issue. And once we did, then we could overcome the extreme poverty, the extreme lack of health, and avoid doing this massive hard labor for the colonizer, and instead do labor that helps build our own people. Which is what he wanted his people to do. He always would say, like, I'm tired of like people being lazy, and he's saying that because he wants people, not because he doesn't actually believe Africans don't do work. Clearly, as you see, he knows Africans do work. Exactly. Africans do a bunch of hard work for somebody else, not for themselves. And so he's like saying, like, stop being lazy and doing work for yourself, and now like pick it up and go and do work for yourself and your people instead.
Yeah, and this also shows, land back is literally reaches and touches and is a part of the liberation of every colonized nation, right? A lot of people want to say, oh yeah, land back is just for indigenous people, specific to these couple of tribes on Turtle Island. Okay, this is literally a solution to return African people to their land, right? To them in Africa. They were ripped from around the same time that it happened in Turtle Island, right? With violence, right? With slaughtering, with being sold into slavery, right? We have to understand that land back extends to Africans as well. And Marcus Garvey knew this, and it's amazing as well. And I'm glad you pointed out that, he was addressing the land question 100 years ago, right? And it seems so new now to people because it's completely left out by the petty bourgeoisie, right? Activism, right? It never focuses on land. It never focuses on land, and it never focuses on, connection with, the motherland, right? It never focuses on connection with your roots. That's never something that's important. It's about this new Black American identity, right? It's about this, this Black identity, not this African identity. Because, if you were pro-African, if you were pro back to Africa, you'd be anti-colonial, and that's one thing that a sellout can never be.
Yeah. And like it's so reflective, and it's something they talked about in this part as well. It's so reflective within the Harlem Renaissance, right? So like the Harlem Renaissance was a bunch of Africans that didn't call it the Harlem Renaissance. I know that's how they teach it to us, y'all. But at the time they called it the New Negro Movement. That's what it was called, the New Negro Movement. And New Negro says everything about it, right? The New Negro being the new African, right? The African born out of basically colonialism that can exist within the colony. That's the African they were talking about. That's the new Negro they were talking about. It was the intellectual, it was the artist, the writer, the what we today might call the brunch crowd, right? These like the crowd that might run for office, the crowd that might go and do some, I don't know, some basic activism wearing some Patagonia vest. Like, those
That's the
people
best.
who are the ones that have deemed themselves a different kind of African. Whereas, like, no, you the same African. There's nothing new about you. The only thing that has been new is your existence as a colonized person, right? You're a colonized African now. That's the only thing that was new about you, and that was new a while ago.
Yeah, and wasn't Pharrell like a new African too? It's like this idea that, like, becoming sophisticated, right? It's like you're just becoming like the white man financially and, in your mannerisms. But you still want to be able to pander to the African masses, right? So you're not saying I'm not African, right? Because you still want to be able to sell CDs and, say the N-word in your songs and get people listening to it because, people might like it. But in your mannerisms, right, in your priorities, in your material efforts, where your funds go, right, it is not to African people, right, it is to the colony and to your individual self. That is what a new Black, a new African, a new Negro is, a sellout.
Exactly, completely. And I love this how CIC Ghazi lays out. I love this metaphor. If you take a zebra from Africa, an African zebra, and you plop them in the Bronx Zoo, it's not all of a sudden a Bronx zebra.
It's an African American zebra.
Yeah, it's not an African American zebra. It's still an African zebra, just in a different location, right? And that's not. And Marcus Garvey, the thing is, Marcus Garvey understood that, right? That's why they had an organization of Africans all around the world. They said Africans for Africans at home and abroad, right? And so it was for Africans in the United States, in Turtle Island, Africans in Pachamama, Africans all around the world, because they understood that no matter where Africans were, they were just Africans. Nothing new about them. They're just Africans in the wrong place.
Exactly. And I think there's some aversion as well. And there's still aversion to people, the word Black has really been pushed on us by mainstream media. I mean, if you think that, calling it Black Lives Matter and not African Lives Matter wasn't a deliberate choice, to distance people from their homeland and from colonialism, right? Because when you say you're Black, there's no material connection there to, the plundering of Africa that you should feel connected to, as it has, materially placed you where you are today, right? Connected to this new thing, the 60s, the 70s, that's the struggle I identify with, not, the 1400s, right? Not the time when that pillaging was occurring, right? We have to really understand, we are not the names of, that we were given by the colonizer. We are not no color, right? We are connected to our homelands and our nations, just like, Corporal right there has said, because that is where our initial contradiction sprung from, right? That's where the severing happened, and that's why we have to look at it in order to repair it. We got to educate the people as well that it's okay to be African, right? It's good. It is a beautiful thing to be connected to a place, even if it's connected through violence, right? Even if it's connected through pain. There's beauty in all of that.
Yeah. We have to be not just, of course, comfortable with where we come from, but we have to like shout it from the rooftops where we come from. It's been denied to us so much, and when we shout out that yes, I'm African, we're doing it in a language that is not from Africa either, and so there's just so much that's been taken from us that the least we can do is just say yes, I am African. It's the least, so that you can recognize in some way with your body and voice and spirit that you are from a land that you've been torn from. Yes, yes, land back. I saw a couple of comments like Quali says that's right, we still connected to the homelands. Everyone, we have to, as colonized people, remember that we are from a material land. We're not just our identities, right? Like the Harlem Renaissance was trying to teach you, right? Of course, there's some things that might inspire some people to keep on fighting within it, within that, like some of the writers might have done, but that wasn't nothing to actually fully liberate us, right? We need to be taught that yes, we're connected to homelands, we're connected to land materially, not just metaphorically or through identity. Yes,
the connection to the earth too. Right? It connects us to Mother Earth, and a lot of times people, we have lost sight, in mass, looking at the masses, of protecting Mother Earth, right? Of stewarding it, and it was something that is not just native or indigenous to Turtle Island, right? But Africa as well, right? Pachamama, as well as all of the world. When we say the actual part of the land that we're from, and we recognize the people who are on that land and stewards of it, we understand that it's our responsibility too.
Yes, no, yeah, we understand that because it is our land, we have to steward it and take care of it. It's a cycle, like I talked about with fundraising, which is also why you should also keep giving some.
I know we spitting some bars right now. We spitting bars right now. Come on.
Yeah, I know. We spend bars like political education is free, but again, it needs resources. So
political education is free, but we ain't. We need resources to get that way. So come on, let's drop those donations.
Yeah, keep dropping it because we are dropping bars. But next, I'm going to drop some bars from Marcus Garvey himself. That's going to be my next. Read that back. So y'all should go to it's page 189 in the book and page 111 PDF, so y'all can follow along. This is his message, first message to Negroes of the world from Atlanta prison. I want to read through it just because it's an amazing inspirational words right here. All right. So he says, my work has just begun, and when the history of my suffering is complete, then future generations of Negroes will have in their hands the guide by which they shall know the sins of the 20th century. And I know you too believe in time, and we shall wait patiently for 200 years if need be to face our enemies through our posterity. After my enemies are satisfied in life or death, I shall come back to you to serve even as I have served before. In life, I shall be the same. In death, I shall be a terror to the foes of Negro liberty. If death has power, then count on me in death to be the real Marcus Garvey I would like to be. If I may come in an earthquake or a cyclone or a plague or pestilence, or as God would have me, then be assured that I shall never desert you and make your enemies triumph over you. Would I not go to hell 1,000,000 times for you? If I die in Atlanta, my work shall then only begin, but I shall live in the physical or spiritual sense to see the day of Africa's glory. While I am dead, wrap the mantle of the red, black, and green around me. For in the new life, I shall rise with God's grace and blessing to lead the millions up the heights of triumph with the colors that you well know. Look for me in the whirlwind or the storm. Look for me all around you, for with God's grace I shall come and bring with me countless millions of black slaves who have died in America and the West Indies, and the millions in Africa to aid you in the fight for liberty, freedom, and life. The civilization of today is gone drunk and crazy with its power, and by such it seeks through injustice, fraud, and lies to crush the unfortunate. But if I am apparently crushed by the system of influence and misdirected power, my cause shall rise again to plague the conscience of the corrupt. For this I am satisfied, and for you I repeat, I am glad to suffer and even die. Again I say, cheer up, for better days are ahead. I shall write the history that will inspire the millions that are coming and lead the prosperity of our enemies to reckon with the host for the deeds of their fathers. With God's dearest blessings, I leave you for a while. Woo-wee. I had to read that whole thing in full. I can't take a part out of this. This is one whole piece. All right. So yes. Okay. So we've just been reading in our central political education. We've just been reading Mao talking about sacrifice and talking about what you have to give up. And what Marcus Garvey is saying here is very similar to what Mao was saying. All right, y'all. Revolutionaries be on the same wavelength. So yes, China, Africa on the same wavelength, y'all. So yeah, Mao was talking about sacrifice and what you have to be willing to give up in order to preserve oneself, in order to preserve your people. And here, Marcus Garvey was laying out exactly what he was willing to do to preserve his people and preserve the fight for liberation. And he was saying that, I'll come back as a cyclone, I'll come back as a storm, as a tornado, whatever it is, in order to stop those who will stand in the way of the liberation of my people, right? And if you And if you want to be in the spirit of Marcus Garvey, if you want to be in the spirit of a revolutionary, you got to speak like Marcus Garvey. You have to live like Marcus Garvey here, because anything less is a disservice to your people. Anything less is a disservice to your people, because our people deserve someone who would do as anything that they could, even beyond life, as Marcus Garvey is saying, in order to make sure that they're free.
Absolutely.
Why would we do anything less? Right? Why would we do anything less?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of stunned, and I was stunned when I read this the first time. It's a departure from the way that his other chapters are written, and you can tell how much emotion is in it, right? Like, this man truly does not know if he will survive. He's in a prison where millions of African people die, right? In prisons, especially 100 years ago, right? Where he's being abused by the warden, given the worst jobs, right? Etc. And you can tell just in the poetic nature of this, like how he was feeling. It was different. It was something he did not know if he would live to see his liberation, or he was praying, you know, that I will be able to be present to have this impact in the afterlife, right? Yeah. And I think that it's really beautiful as well. You know, he says you may have to wait 200 years. Well, it's been 100 years. So let's see what's happening. There are lots of cyclones going on. I'm just going to say it's lots of, you know, the world going a little crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a little bit of Garvey's work. And I think as well, we have to see ourselves and put ourselves in a position to represent, or at least align ourselves with this spiritual force of Marcus Garvey, right? Now that he has passed, right? And understand that, like you said, we have to, you know, be the millions of Africans, right? Ready to fight for their liberation, right? The millions of dead, right? Of deceased slaves, right? Who died on the way over, right? In the Middle Passage, who also died during slavery, who continue to die, who died from the industrial complex today, and understand we're all connected spiritually, and we all have to, you know, be aligned for our liberation. Because all that death, you know, Marcus Garvey's death himself, right? It will be for nothing if we don't learn from it and use it as a tool to achieve what he was trying to achieve.
Yes. And, you know, to achieve it not as an individual, but to achieve it with organization.
Exactly.
Right. It wasn't that let me get in, like, I am the one that is going to be responsible. I am the cyclone, and I will do it myself. You know, let me be the energy, right? Like storms and nature. That's energy. That's let me be the energy that propels you to do it. And that's something that Marcus Garvey understood, and even his critics understood. Right? Was that Marcus Garvey was the first African responsible for organizing our people away from colonialism. He was the first one to do it on that kind of scale. And not just on that scale, just in general, to organize our people across the world as Africans against colonialism. He was the first one to do it. And none of them could say that he wasn't. Right? Regardless of how much they hated on him, they all knew he was still the first. Exactly. And that's one of the big reasons why they were hating on him so much. Because they knew he had the energy, they knew he had the presence, they knew he had the ability to go all the way and to always and take it as far as he needed to, in order to liberate his people. And people who are afraid of going too far are always the ones who end up losing. So
exactly.
Yes, land back. All right, let's get into our audience read that back. I want to hear what our audience has been reading, what's on their minds. I see we got one from Shagun. Let's see. Oh, yeah.
And one from
The civilization of today is gone. Oh, that's the one we read. Oh, I want to do the next one. Let's see. I want to see the number 2. Yes. It is because of the rapid growth and success of this organization that other Negroes have sought to defeat me by hostile propaganda in their own newspapers and with the misrepresentations they supply to the white press. Every effort among Negroes has been made and exhausted by my enemies to defeat me, and yet they have failed. Hence, they resort to the government and the white press for the accomplishment of this purpose. Dang, 100 years later, it's the same thing today. Again, as I always say, the contradictions are exactly the same. So why wouldn't the other contradictions be exactly the same? Exactly. So, yes, the enemies going toward white media and and using propaganda to try to undermine Marcus Garvey is stuff that we see in revolutionary work today. People might think that they are telling their own stories on Twitter, but like Twitter is white media, Facebook is white media. This is all colonial, colonizer-owned white media apparatuses, and so. By going to these apparatuses to like undermine revolution, you are speaking to white people. You are speaking to the colonizer. You're informing the colonizer, right? By doing so. And yes, and of course, the way that Marcus Garvey lays it out, every effort among Negroes has been made and exhausted by my enemies. He recognized the enemies among his own people.
Exactly.
And said, like, yeah, they're going to these white media apparatuses to slander me. And that's something that we see today, even with the own work of our organization. That again is one of the leading lines from Marcus Garvey. We are in the spirit of Marcus Garvey, and look at the same thing happening.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think as well, seeing these sellouts, right? Because that's what you are if you're used by white media to attack a colonized organization or an African organization that is truly right for African and colonized people materially, right? We have to differentiate because some people, will put black in their name and their organization and still just follow white kids around and do nothing for their people. Like a Alliance for Peace. But most importantly, right, we see, whether it's that Baraka guy, whatever his name is, right, or it's that Margaret lady on Twitter, right, we see the sellouts come out. That is the prime tool of the colony, right? Let's take people who look like them and attack them with it to make it seem as if there's this disunity, right, between the masses, right? It makes it seem like, oh, the African proletariat is divided. No, the African proletariat wants liberation.
Yes.
Right? Once they take over their lives, the African petty bourgeoisie that you're trying to make look like it represents the African proletariat is just a puppet for you, right? So I understand that, like you said, puppets going to be puppets 100 years ago or now, and their sole purpose is to create this picture of division, right? Create this slander against an organization that is against their puppet master, right? That is against power.
That's so important what you just said, Sundiata, because that's the idea that the African working class is being divided, and they want to like make it seem that way. White media wants to make it seem that African working class is getting divided because of the way that these sellouts are talking. You're correct. It's so not true because there's already a class division already between the petty and the working class, but the working class is united. There's nothing going on here that they like the white power state should not think that the African working class is unable to unite and is like all of a sudden just dividing to all these little pieces. No, it's their work and the work of the colonized petty bourgeois sellouts that is making it seem that way because of what they got to say, and they're divided off of us, right? They can work to commit class suicide to come into us a high level. As we learn, it takes a high level of true work and true reparations, even, right, in order to achieve that. But that is not where the true division lies. The true division lies between those classes, not within the African working class. And that's actually something that John Henrik Clarke even said about Marcus Garvey, was that opposition to Marcus Garvey within the African working class was non-existent. I think that was like a straight up quote from John Henrik Clarke about Marcus Garvey. And so it proves that the only people that really had a problem with Marcus Garvey were the petty boos.
We're Harvard graduates.
We're the Harvard graduates, right? Not the regular millions and millions and millions of African working class people. So yeah, it's a really good point. And we know that our African working class people developed our own media apparatuses to inform the people. When the Black Panther Party had their newspaper, it was the most wide read newspaper among Africans for 4 straight years, right?
Across the world too.
Yeah, exactly. I think had a circulation of like 300,000 a week, right? And so the colonized and African working class will always create our own media apparatuses to inform our people what are happening. We don't need the white power media to let us to be an apparatus for us to use, right? We can create our own. And that's why, yeah, you should join Black Camera. You should join Black Camera and be a part of being that media. If you want to tell people what's going on and just tell our people straight up how you want to tell it, you can join Black Camera and do that. You don't got to filter yourself. You don't got to hide yourself, right? When you join Black Camera, because that's all they want us to do as poor and working class African colonized people. They want us to always censor ourselves. But no, you don't got to censor yourself in Black Camera. Sometimes in order to navigate some of this white power stuff, we got to be doing some things, right?
We got to be secure.
Yeah, we got to be secure.
Our words, no.
Yes, secure, non-adventurous. But we can still be ourselves. We can still be ourselves and be free. Sometimes people convince you they gotta be whole something else in order to be free. No, you can still be you and still be free.
Because you are all you need.
Exactly, and you can do that at Black Hammer. If the you who you are is a true poor working class African ready to work for you, and a colonized person ready to work for your liberation. Yes, working hard. So join at blackhammer.org/join, and you can join the Agitation and Propaganda Committee, where we are going to do that work of telling our people what they need to know in the way that we want to tell it. All right. So yes, land back. Let's keep on going with our read that backs just for the second time. Let's go into. I know you have another read that backs, Indiana. So let's go into.
I do. My next one is on the PDF page 122, and in the hard copy on page 210. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it up.
210.
And it was.
That was the beginning of the critics.
Yes, exactly. So this is written by Richard B. Moore. So this is a paragraph that I just thought was really poignant, especially comparing it or putting it, alongside our own experience, right? So it says, but hardly known at all is the cardinal fact that at the very beginning, Marcus Garvey found himself in an opposition to the principal leaders of the Afro-American people in the United States. In a comparatively early article written in answer to his critics, Garvey stated that shortly after his arrival from Jamaica in the United States, quote, I immediately visited some of the so-called Negro leaders, only to discover that they had no programs, but were mere opportunists, end quote. Ain't it sad, y'all? Ain't it sad, y'all? And it's sad that, when we came to Atlanta, for instance, and we, went out to engage with the local activists and Black, Negro leaders, if you would, as Garvey put it, we found the same thing. Found the same thing that, they don't really got much going on, don't have any long-term ideas or material solutions for the people. And in fact, at that point, they were saying that they, were confused. Right, and the people were confused, and the people were no longer, united and one to liberation. We don't know where they're at. We don't know how to engage them. Right, it shows that this is a historical trend. Right, 100 years ago, Garvey came to the U.S. and was like, they are not doing anything to get free. They are sitting around. Maybe they're having groups. Right, maybe they're having meetings even, but more than likely they're being directed by the colony, right? More than likely they're using this as a way to live comfortably, right? So I think that this was just it really struck me, because I was like, oh, that's how we felt when we came to Atlanta, right? That's how we felt when we tried to engage, whether it's, Black Lives Matter or it's Black Lives for Peace or whatever it is, right? We see there's no long-term program, and a program is a campaign with long-term material goals.
Yes,
like having a vision of what you want to do for the masses. But they don't have that. They never had that.
No, and it's interesting what you laid out about like those leaders and their perspective on the African colonized working class. That was the same as one of these sellouts that talked. I forgot that talked about Marcus. I think it was Richard Moore, Cyril Briggs, one of them. It had said like, oh, one of his observations of the time period was the immaturity of the African working class. I was like, that says so much about how you see your people. So much about how you see the contradiction, because you see the contradiction as coming from your people rather than coming from white power. And these were people who were leaders in really basic things like the NAACP. These were leaders who worked with other white people in like the U.S. Communist Party, like Cyril Briggs and I think Richard Moore as well. And so none of these people were actually under the leadership of other Africans, but had all this stuff to say about African leadership. When they themselves were not African leaders themselves, nor under the leadership of other Africans. And so, Lamback Shalom, thank you. I'm glad you love this book chat. And so, yes, these trends are just they just continue because, as I say, the contradiction of colonialism is still here. And so, unless we are addressing parts of that contradiction, just like we are, which is what we are doing at Black Hammer, we are addressing the contradiction of petty bourgeois sellouts, which is why when when Orlando was meeting all these people and realizing, hey, you know what, some of you so-called leaders are using our people, and abusing our people, and we aren't going to stand for that using and abusing. Exactly. And so that's how we're going to address those elements of the contradiction that are still remaining today. And that's what makes Black Hammer a vanguard organization, is because we're not going with the same old. We're addressing the things that historically and dialectically we see occurring. And so that's what makes Black Hammer the organization to join, and Black Hammer the organization to align with, because we understand what's going on the best.
Exactly.
I want to be aligned with the people who understand what's going on the best. I don't want to be with the people who understand things halfway or just completely
want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You may even claim to understand it, but you're just going to talk and write about it. What are you doing for the people about it? Right? What are you doing for the land about it, right?
Exactly, because we understand it best to do something the best about it, right? To do the best thing about it. We understand the best in order to do the best, and that's what Black Hammer is about. And so, yes, unite with the poor working class, colonized masses. Unite with Black Hammer. Unite with Marcus Garvey and the U.N.I.A. and what he accomplished. So, I really unite with that. Read that back soon, Diana. Let's see. Before we keep on going, I want to take another moment to fundraise. So I want to make sure that we are still getting those resources, just like as Chief Sundiata was talking about. We know that we have to do the best things about it. We have to do things about it. In order to do things, we do need resources to do the things that we do. Exactly. And so, yes, it's still time to fundraise. We want to make sure that we are getting resources to support our people. Chief Sundiata, you want to talk about some of the things that you needed resources for yesterday's protest, besides like the megaphone and chairs? What are some other things that you need resources for?
Absolutely. Yeah, please donate, y'all. We've been putting in, more than $1,000 worth of political education, these gyms that we're spending. So please donate. It's only $850. It's only the goal. But like you were saying, yeah, Chief Oju, we also need, we talked about the granola bars, but the granola bars are really just a small part. That was what we decided to hand out because it's quick, it's easy. It's sanitary. They're individually wrapped, right? You can hand it out to someone on a train car, for instance, and people did eat them on a train car. We also need other food and water to keep our people safe, right? This climate crisis is going wild, right? This crisis of imperialism is pushing the Mother Nature and the weather specifically into places that is dangerous for the most vulnerable people. So for instance, when we were out there the first time, right, it was hot as all get out, right? It was hot as everything in the world. So we had water, right? We had to be providing our people with water. We had snacks, we had food, we had sandwiches. And there was a moment, I'm not sure if I've spoken about this before, but there was a moment where an African woman and her family, she had a differently able daughter that she was taking care of. And
yes.
They were going to Savananda, the bummy health food store that harbored an alleged serial rapist for 11 years. They were going in there, or about to go in there, whenever we, flagged them down, did our job, what we were doing to all the people we saw, which was informing them of the contradiction in their community and, guiding them, leading them as to how to overturn it, right? Do not support this place, right? Spread the word, right? But, her response was, something that made me see as well, where we have to be prepared to serve the masses is you can't just, tell them to do something. You can't just point out a contradiction, but you need to provide a solution and way forward that actually meets their needs. She said, where else am I going to get some food? right? Where else can I get some food, get some water for my family? You know, we took the bus here, right? Because I don't got a car. We took the bus here, and this is the only place that sells healthy food that I can get for my family to keep us fed until we got to catch the bus and go home, right? And that struck me because I did not have an answer immediately, right? Because there ain't really another store on this street, right, on this block that sells health food like that, or supposedly health food. But we had food, right? Because of our donations, because of the funds, we had sandwiches, we had chips, we had fruit. You know, yesterday we had, you know, clementines, we had carrots, we had Pedialyte because of the heat, we had water, right? So we were able to, like, on the spot right there, provide that material solution. Like, do not rely on an abusive organization, right, who is bad for your community for your food, but rely on an organization that's willing to sit here and provide this to you, you know, free of charge. We're not going to charge you for any food. We would never do that. As well as, you know, give you this political education. And I had the opportunity to speak with the woman a lot more, and it was just a really amazing opportunity because she does homeschool her children. I see these coming in.
Well, I'm seeing all of them come in. I'm just like, oh my goodness. We got $3 from Shegu. We got 15 in reparations from Executive and Reset. And then another $200 in reparations from Land Back.
That's amazing. It's amazing. And yeah, and you know, where I was going with the story is that, you know, in order to support our people's needs is not even necessarily like we know what our people need right now. We know that our people will need something. So if someone comes to us and says, you know, I need this in order to get custody of my child, I need this service from you, right? Or I desperately, you know, require this service in order to keep my family alive, to keep my family fed and housed, right? We might not have, you know, purchased the thing, you know, a thing that we can give to them materially, but being able to invest ourselves, invest our time, right? Our legal office, right? And say, yes, we will pay your legal fees. We will find someone who can, for no charge, give you a consultation within our organization. We will help you keep your family together, right? That is where your donations go to, right? It's, yes, we will use these funds to pay for a house so that you can live, right, with your family and you can be a revolutionary, right? So you don't have to go into work every day where you end up getting exposed to COVID, right? Where you're being abused by the white power system, right? This is all our mission. So when you donate, understand that it's going to purchase things, yes, and things are good and they can be given to people, but it's going to service, right? In a non-material sense, but in, you know, a principled sense, right? And so many of our comrades have been rescued from homelessness because of your donations, right? Have been rescued from being starving because of or being depressed, right? Or being unhealthy, right?
Yes.
Because of your donation. So it's important to understand that you are helping people, you are helping the revolutionary vanguard, and you are also putting food and water into the masses' hands on a hot day, you know, putting a $5 bill into a houseless person's hands so they can afford to get themselves something to eat or something to cover themselves with when they do need to go to sleep and it's getting cold, right? This is all where your donations are going. So I'm really happy to see y'all dropping some in here. We still need more. We ain't never gonna be happy until we got enough money to liberate the whole colonized world. So keep them coming.
Exactly. Land Back, Sundiata beautifully laid out, just laid out the exact truth of how we do what we do and why we need these resources, why we need people's support in doing it. Fatih had another $25 and pledged another 100 for Friday. Land Back, yes. Yeah, so keep on donating. You can donate to hashtag Black Hammer Org on Cash App or at Black Hammer Org on Venmo as well. And yes, keep on sending in those donations because our people need them. We're in a crisis, and so even if it's like something that, you know, is a last resource for you, it always comes back to you, right? And we are an organization of poor, weak class, colonized people. Anything that we give also comes back because we know it's for the collective, for our people. Yes, Land Back. All right. Keep on donating. We're gonna get into one more Read That Back. And we are going to actually read part of Rohan's. We have an audience read that back. It's on page 209. and of the book and 121 of the PDF. And so I just want to check it out and see what you had to say. So it says, let the followers of Mr. Garvey insist that he get down to bedrock business and make income and expense balance. Let them gag Garvey's wilder words and still preserve his wide power and influence. American Negro leaders are not jealous of Garvey. They're not envious of his failure, for his failure would be theirs. He can have all the power and money that he can efficiently and honestly use. And in addition, if he wants to prance down Broadway in a green shirt, let him, but do not let him foolishly overwhelm with bankruptcy and disaster one of the most interesting spiritual movements of the modern Negro world. Yes, I remember this paragraph, Rohan, and I wanted to point it out because it actually has to do a lot with resources, right? Because Marcus Garvey was raising tons of resources for his organization, and of course, a lot of the gossip and a lot of the sellout portrayal was connected to these resources. And the people who would speak of him, who criticize him, they like you could say that, okay, they were trying to make fun of his, resources and all that stuff. They're trying to make fun of the way he dressed. W. Du Bois would call him black and ugly.
Ooh.
All these critics and sellouts would say all these things. But yeah, it's laid out here. He can have all the power and money that he can use, and if he wants to prance down Broadway in Harlem in a green shirt, go ahead. But there's no doubt about it. He was responsible for starting one of the biggest movements in the history of African people, and that's what we have to say for all our leaders. Who do we remember? Do we remember anything that W.E. Du Bois made? No, because what did he make? He didn't make anything. But are you always rocking the red, black, and green? People rocking red, black,
in your bedroom on the wall.
Right? The flag, you probably rocking it on something dangling from your car. It's on a t-shirt you got, right? You rocking the colors because of
his colors that he chose.
And so let the person be who they want to be. Let our leaders be who they want to be. Let them be charismatic. Let them wear that green. Let them be as expressive as they want. Someone was trying to criticize Marcus Garvey for talking about Napoleon all good and stuff, right? Or they said even Marcus Garvey talking positively about Mussolini or Hitler or something. They're like, oh, but the what Marcus Garvey is getting at there is that in order to be a leader, you got to be remembered, right? In order to lead a lot of people, you got to be someone who sticks out. If you don't stick out, who is you? Exactly. Who is you? Exactly. Our people, especially African colonized people, we don't just respond to anybody. We respond to the most charismatic of our people. That's why we responded to Malcolm X. That's why Malcolm X was the mayor of Harlem. They called him the mayor of Harlem, and there ain't no official mayor of Harlem, but he was the mayor of Harlem, right? Because the people deemed it so, because he was a charismatic leader out of the people. And so, yeah, that will bring that back. I just wanted to highlight that for you, Ron, because it's important. It's important.
I unite as well, and I think that the part of it, where it says, they were afraid, and speaking about the African masses as well as the African leaders, right? You should be afraid for Marcus Garvey to fail, right? That is the most just fear that you have, and you should be afraid that we will fail as well, right? You should be afraid that your revolutionary organizations, parties, vanguards, heroes, whatever it may be, will be unsuccessful, and you should let that fear guide you into supporting your revolutionary heroes, organizations, and parties, right? We're afraid too. That's why we work tirelessly every single day and have faith that we will not fail, have faith that there will be a day where our victory is true and material, right? So you need to have that same faith alongside your fear that you'll be stuck being colonized for the next hundreds of years, and your bloodline will never be free. And turn that fear into some motivation to get the frick free. And to get the heck organized. I'm censoring myself obviously here, but to get organized and to get supporting, right? And you don't got to necessarily be a hammer, right? You can be sitting on your couch watching TV and playing video games, and you will be fine supporting a revolutionary organization as long as we get a cut of that paycheck, As long as you get a cut of that paycheck, you can be a colonizer sitting at home doing whatever, right? You can join the Rep Corps or not, but if we are getting those reparations from you, you're supporting us, right? And I hope that you're supporting us because you do not want us to fail, because you understand that our failure, just like Marcus Garvey's failure, means the loss of lives.
Yes.
It means the slavery of children, right? It means the indoctrination of our children for another 100 years until there's another opportunity, right, to get free. So don't let this one slip up like it was let slip up with Garvey, right? And let's support ourselves and this organization and this mission, if we can, even stronger than it was supported 100 years ago.
Yes, exactly. Support our victory. Lift up our victory. Those who wish anything else on us are the people who are wishing death on the masses of our people. That's the only logical conclusion we can come to. For the people who wish for our failure, is those people wish for mass death, because there's no one else that is organizing an apparatus to protect our people. And I see some more donations: $10 from Arandano, Land Back, $10 from Solimar, Land Back. Thank you for those donations. Yes, and like Camarada Shuksi said again, yes, support our victory, because that's something that we want you to be a part of. If you're colonized, I want, you can support, but I also want you to be a part of the work. You realize that you can do this stuff too. You don't just watch people do it for you, because it's the people who just watch stuff being done for them that Marcus Garvey wasn't a big fan of either, right? Marcus Garvey's like, get up and do something.
So we ain't superhumans.
Yeah.
It don't take no superhuman ability to stand outside of a health food store and support survivors for 10 hours. It's hard. I ain't no robot though. And neither are my comrades, right? We are just normal, regular, but revolutionary inclined members of the colonized masses.
Yeah.
And if you are too, and if you got that little inkling of revolutionary inclination, go ahead and hop in and see how our political education pushes you to be a revolutionary, right? See how, doing the work pushes you and shows you can do more than you thought you could, because you can do this too.
And yes, and for I think for our last Read That Back, I want to do one that we both shared. The last one shows you the kind of person you shouldn't be, so that you can be the person that you need to be. So
I read it. I want to read it.
I want you to read it. Or I want you to read it because you got that voice. But it's on page 145 of the PDF, page 145 of the PDF, and page 253 of the book. And this is Marcus Garvey in his own words. So we want to end with his own words and what he had to say finally about the not just the sellout classes, but the people who just didn't do anything. And as we're telling you right now, join Black Hammer, you have to do something.
It starts on 144. I got the whole.
You got the whole thing.
It's a bit lengthy, so go ahead. Take a seat. Take a breath. Open your ears. Close your eyes, and we'll be reading this last passage and just realize how trash Du Bois is. So it's called A Barefaced Colored Leader. It says, W.E.B. Du Bois is the most brazen fellow that one knows in Negro leadership. Because of the unfortunate mental condition, the education of the masses of the Negroes, this man who secured many free scholarships to obtain his education has consistently used his white education to mislead and humbug the millions of his race in the United States. The Negroes in America since emancipation have ever been looking for honest and upright leaders to point them to the way of political, economic, social, and general development. Du Bois offered himself immediately after he left Harvard, and the people were glad to receive him, but jealous as he was of every other Negro leader, his first effort was to attack the honest, upright, and useful leader of Booker T. Washington. By doing so, he divided American Negro opinion, and the confusion springing therefrom has continued up to the present. But Du Bois took pride and pleasure not only in attacking Booker Washington, but he has attacked and tried to discredit every other Negro leader of importance who has sprung up in America. The very fact that the man up to now has no program, right, no campaign, no material goals, shows that he never intended any, and his profession of being a leader was only to deceive the American Negro and at the same time satisfy his white patrons who had the scheme to suppress an independent development of his race. It is good to make Du Bois speak for himself, and so it is good to quote him from an article he has written for the June number of Current History. Under the caption of A Negro Nation Within the Nation, Du Bois has the following confession to make, quote, "No more critical situation has ever faced the Negroes of America than that of today, not in 1830, nor in 1861, nor in 1867. More than ever, the appeal of the Negro for elementary justice falls on deaf ears." Now, here's a man who fought against the program of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who tried to discredit its leaders, assisted to have him imprisoned and deported at the organization, and its leader stood boldly out in the United States for a program which, if it were supported by men like Du Bois, as it was supported by a large number of the masses of Negroes, would have today placed the American Negro in a position not to be pitied, but to be admired, confessing the helplessness of the race. Can anyone believe in his sincerity? It is evident that his plan of action originally was to keep the Negro in a condition that would always necessitate the propaganda of complaint, of which Du Bois seems to be the master. His National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, when he was active in it, stood for nothing else but complaint and had no constructive program. It could only find usefulness in protesting against lynchings and discrimination, and in such agitation, Du Bois occupied himself for more than a quarter of the century. Now the conditions have gone worse, so his job is still here for him to complain. Lay him back.
Lay him back. Ooh, this is why Black Hammer is the continuation of the U.N.I.A. and Black Lives Matter is the continuation of the NAACP.
Mm-hmm.
It is so clear and blunt. Marcus Garvey lays out that Du Bois and the NAACP had used the propaganda of complaint, the propaganda of pleading for your existence and pleading for your freedom, and just being so begging and asking for this massive pity in order to be admired by the white power colonial state. And Marcus Garvey was not interested in any of that. Marcus Garvey was interested in complaining. Marcus Garvey was interested in working and creating and building.
You never saw a Garvey-led protest, right? Like, no, Garvey's not going to be marching in the streets with his millions of African people saying, we want less police killings, right? We want less. So, I mean, I like the parallel as well. And, Shagun said, it's the parallels for me. I mean, it's very true, protesting against lynchings and protesting against police killings. It's kind of the same thing. And the funny thing is that lynchings didn't stop when they protested them, and police killings aren't stopping now.
And lynchings aren't stopping now either.
Lynchings aren't stopping now either, right? We still see lynchings, and they're one and the same. So it is so clear and so parallel that like this complaint, right? This, just trying to rile up the masses in a way that makes them think that they need to remain where they're at, under the boot that they're under, and just complain until it gets a little bit more comfortable, right? And I think it is important that we all see Du Bois as a sinister enemy of the masses, right? How are you going to write in an article that, right now is the most dangerous, the most concerning time for the Negro, while you're attacking and discrediting and attempting to incarcerate, deport, and kill a revolutionary leader of the largest organization who actually could do something during this year, which you think is so important and so, full of struggle. It's so counter-revolutionary that I'm sad that I was even told, because I feel like a lot of us are told that Du Bois was a great Black intellectual and did a lot for the race. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Sellouts.
Exactly. Of course, we're told that, I know I'm too old for Obama to be in any of my textbooks, but I bet in textbooks right now, Obama is talked about just like Du Bois.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's no surprise that they would tell us that that he is a leader of African people, because for white power, the people they want to prop up as leaders are people who just complain, who complain to the point of it getting comfortable. And that's what they want for all of our African poor working class colonized people. They want us just to complain until it feels comfortable enough. But for the poorest and the most working class of our people, it's never comfortable. That's the reality that the petty bourgeois doesn't understand, that it's never comfortable, that we're constantly discomfort, we're constantly being used, we're constantly being killed. And because the petty bourgeois doesn't want to face that reality, they just go ahead and live with their comfort while all the rest of us continue to die, right?
Exactly.
And so that's why we need leaders who understand that we're constantly being killed, that we're constantly uncomfortable, that we're constantly poor, because those leaders are the ones who understand that it needs more than complaining to get out of that situation.
Exactly.
We have to build ourselves out of that situation. And that's why Marcus Garvey knew that he could not unite with any of these sellout leaders. That's why he told the people, he told the masses of people that their greatest enemies were these Negro leaders, these Negro so-called leaders, right? That's what he told his people. And like they were upset. Interestingly enough, the parallels, they're like, why aren't you talking enough about white people? They would ask him that. Why aren't you talking enough? You're not talking enough about how white people are bad to us. And Marcus Garvey understood poor and working class colonized people understand white people are bad. Yes, we understand life is hard. We don't have to get that told to us 10 million times.
Literally.
It is a solution to build ourselves out of the situation that those people put us in. And that's the difference. That is the difference.
And one thing that I also want to bring out is, there is a large difference between complaining and agitating. Right. Our people know what they're under. Complaining is getting them to say what they're under and speak it out there and hope that the person who is doing it to them will feel some kind of sympathy, as well as just to give notoriety to the person who organized them. Right. That's your protest. Right. But agitating the people is going to them saying, I know that your family has been a victim of police brutality. Right. The same issue that maybe people would be complaining about. Understand that a material change needs to happen for you to escape this, for you to be free from this, right? This is going out in the street is never going to bring your son back, right? Going out in the street is never going to stop someone else's son from getting killed. The only way we do that is by organization, by discipline, by colonized unity, right? That's agitation, tapping into what someone is passionate about or what pain the colonialism has done to them, right? And then getting them to see that revolution is the answer to overturning it, right? To overturning it for other people, as opposed to saying, oh, that's bad. Can you grab a microphone or a megaphone and come tell a lot of people so I can, get a lot of likes on Twitter and, get a little blue check next to my name and make fun of actual revolutionaries on the internet? Can you come tell people, we're not going to help you. We're not going to support your family, right? Tamir Rice's mom, right? We're not going to support you, right? Michael Brown's father, right? Like, we see this happening over and over again. We need to agitate our people towards revolution instead of getting them to complain into complacency.
Yes, land back, dropping bars. And we have to remember too that Marcus Garvey, part of his struggle here and part of why W.E.B. Du Bois is in this book multiple times. There's no reason that your enemy, one of your biggest enemies, should have this much say in a book about you. Is because we can't keep recognizing our haters. We can't keep recognizing the people who want to talk bad about us all the time, right?
Play.
Yeah, give them no play, because once you start doing it, they'll end up in your book about you. And might possibly having more words in a book about you than you do about yourself. And that's why we have to let them go and build on our people. Just like Chief Sunni said, agitate our people. That's who we need to agitate. The enemy's agitated enough just by our very existence and by the very fact that we're organizing. And so that's fine, but we need to agitate our people into organizing for ourselves. All right. And so yes, hashtag let it go. Yeah, hashtag let them go. Can we do that? Hashtag let them go. Like, let them go. And that's for the haters. Hashtag let them go for the haters, because we have work to do and we have people that we need to bring into this work. That is why our chapters are still talking to our people. And that's why our chapters are still providing K95 masks with this Delta variant. That's why our Atlanta chapter is out there making sure that survivors are protected and believed and are held up so that no one could harass them, no one could abuse them, no matter what those enemies look like. All right. So let them go. Take a deep breath and let them go. All right. So that we can keep on doing the work that we need to do. There is no time. There is no time. Let them go and let's move forward because we have too much to do. And one of the last things that we do have to do, besides announcements, and what we could do it while we do our announcements, is we are $75 away from our goal, y'all.
Only $75?
$75 away.
That's 3 people with $25 they can match us with.
Okay, that's 3. Thank you for that math. Yes, that's 3. Yeah, 3/4. That's 3 people who could donate $25. If we could get 3 people to donate $25, we have met our goal. And you know what? And it's going to show that you let them go, you let them haters go, and that you're ready to move on. If you got them $25, who? Yes, I like that wrong. Who's going to be our lucky 3? Our lucky 3 who each got $25 for the people, for the masses, for moving on, for moving forward. I want to see those people. Okay, got another $25.
That moves you up to 50 for T with your previous match.
Yeah.
Come on, who else in here? Who else has donated? Or if you have, just go ahead and add on, right? It's just a quarter. It's just 25.
Yeah, drop a quarter. Drop a quarter. All right. Okay, I'm gonna check out 5 more.
Okay.
All right. So that means now I gotta do like extra.
We need $45 more.
We need 45 more. All right. Who got them 45? All right.
$2.5 each. You can split this between 2 people. It's about $23.
Okay, Black Hair, like we always say, we meet our goals. We meet our goals because our people deserve for us to meet our goals. Our people deserve for us to complete our action items. Exactly. That's what our people deserve. And so that's why when we don't get there, we got to be self-critical, right? And that's why we got to push ourselves even further. Okay, I'm mostly broke as fuck, but I'll pledge $15, right? But for Friday.
That means so much, Moxley.
Yeah, thank you so much, Moxley. Yes, so that leaves 25 left, right?
Exactly.
No, wait.
45
minus 15.
30.
30. That's
my
30.
skills are almost slow. There's just 2 people with $15, and I want y'all to know that Oju and I are not sitting here pressing y'all right now, trying to shake you down because we want a Lambo, because we want some Gucci you can throw on. No. Remember, this is about what we can get to the colonized masses, the poor and working class folks on the train, on the bus, who are walking to work, right? Who are sleeping under a bridge, who are sleeping on a bench, right? Who need desperately food, right? Water, shelter, and hope, right? They need hope and that the world will not always be like this. Right? They need hope that their life will not always be like this, the suffering that we all experience under colonialism. And that is what we can give them, right? Revolution is a long journey. That's a journey that moves a lot faster the more that y'all donate and support and share, right? So even then, it seems like folks, you patting yourself dry a little bit. Maybe you ain't got $15 more. Share 15 times. Right? If you can't donate $15 right now, share 15 times. Go on Twitter, go on Instagram, throw it on your story, right? Go on your Facebook, share it, right? Text it to your friends, Snapchat story, all that. Tweet it out to everybody because we have to understand that this is so important. And this episode specifically is so important for showing our people where they need to go. And it is to the revolutionaries, not the sellouts, right? It is to those who will, be locked up by the sellouts just for wanting to send their people back to their land, right? To give African people something to stand on. And then it's those who try to get that person locked up, right? Those are the choices. Yes. Either you're the pig or you're the people, right? And we are not the pig.
We are the people.
So support us. Support people, support the revolutionaries.
Yes, man, back. Yes. Just got. I was gonna say while you were just talking, I got a message from my revolutionary mama who's donating 25.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll
Yeah.
do the last $5. Oh, we got 15 from Shukshi too.
Okay. See, again, we understand. Like, salute. We understand. Like, when money is tight, right? And but that's what poor working class colonists people always do. We give so that we can make sure that we can see better for others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is the resolve and the beauty of
Mm-hmm.
poor working class colonized people.
And remember to tap into the organization as well, right? To make sure that you're leaning on the organ, that you are getting that support that we all need to get from this organization, right? Because if you're putting it in, you got to make sure that you are still staying safe. And we do feed people. We do make sure our comrades are safe and healthy, right? Because we understand that if we have revolutionaries who are just working ourselves to the bone, right, working ourselves, to for hours and hours and sleepless nights, right, that's not going to be a sustained revolution. Mm-hmm. Right. We got another 5 from
Okay. So we passed our goal now.
You beat it. Okay. Hey. Yes, indeed. Hey. That is so exciting. And it shows that y'all really, you really want the people to have this, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited for the day that I get to, give your funds out to the people, right? To take this in the form of a mask and hand it to somebody this weekend, right? And that's what y'all let us do.
Yes. Land back, salute everybody. We're gonna go right into our announcements, let you know what's happening this week at Black Hammer, so that you can continue to get political education and continue to stay connected with us, so that you can eventually join us. All right. So, what do we got first, Chief Sundiata?
Land back first, of course, on Monday. That is tomorrow. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, August 23rd, we have the Vanguard. Now, the Vanguard is your one-stop shop for all things Black Hammer and BHATL. We're going to check out our Vanguard chapter every week to see what's going on. And I bet that we will have some amazing footage, some juicy stories from this protest that we did last night, or ended last night at this health food store, right? And this is the chapter that is supporting these survivors and is laying out the blueprint. So all the other chapters and hammers across the world can follow suit, so you do not want to miss this. So again, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, August 23rd. That's Monday. Put it on your calendar and let's get it.
Yeah. And then tomorrow, the next day after that, we have our Tuesday rally. It's our Tuesday rally, August 24th. The theme is "The People's Soldiers Are Invincible." We understand that revolutionaries are not just thinkers or people who just talk about things or just go out and help the people here and there. No, we are soldiers. We are people who are fully committed to the uplift of our people. That's how China laid it out. They are soldiers, right? The People's Liberation Army. The people doing all the work that we do now, that's the army in China. So
the revolution is a war.
Yeah, it's a war. So yes, we are soldiers and we are invincible once we realize our actual role in this fight. So yes, that's our Tuesday rally. Be there, YouTube live, all right? And we'll make sure you a VIP up in there. We'll get you connected. So if you want to know, you want a reminder of what's happening, hit us up in our DM so we can let you know.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we still got our political education boot camp for colonizers every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so you can join the Reparations Corps. Rep Corps, can I get a sound off in the comments? I know y'all here because y'all are some one people, right? Y'all are some individuals who are one to colonize leadership, right? One to political education, and one to fighting for the liberation of colonized people and to undo all the work, all the counter-revolution, all the colonialism that your ancestors are guilty for. So please donate or join the Reparations Corps in order to be, a funder, a supporter, right? A part of the People's Army where you can fit in. White leftists, this is the only place it is acceptable for you to be in the revolution, the only place is in the Rep Corps. So it's every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and you can sign up at blackhammer.org/reparations. And I see y'all Rep Corps showing up. Man back.
Lay back. And then our second to last announcement is join agitation and propaganda. Are you interested in writing, music, art, dance, TV, broadcasting, news, anything that has to do with being creative and just giving people a message? If you just want to give people a message, you got something to say, you need to join agitation and propaganda. This is the place where you get to say what you need to say. All right. And you can join us and ask questions by emailing bhagitationpropaganda@protonmail.com. That's where we're going to let you know how to get involved in the revolution to say what's on your mind. All right. Because we know our people got a lot on their minds and a lot to say. We just want you to have one place to say it.
And you got a mixtape, you got some art you be making. I know our people be grinding creatively too. We be seeing them out. This is the place to be.
Yes, it is. All right. And then what are we reading? What parts are we reading next week, Chief Sundiata?
Next week, we're going again with 2 parts. So remember to get on that reading, y'all. I know, it's 2 parts. You got to fit it in with all your revolutionary work that you're doing, but it's parts 5 and 6. We're excited to keep going further into, the life and the struggle of Marcus Garvey, the Black Star Line, and the U.N.I.A. and his visions of Africa.
Yes. All right. So get on that reading. You go to blackhammer.org/library for the book so you can follow along and get to reading. All right. And yes, this was a wonderful episode of the book chat. I love talking to you about Marcus Garvey, Sundiata. Yes, I will look forward to reading parts 5 and 6 with you. All right.
Absolutely. It's always a treat to be able to talk to you, Chief Oju, especially about this amazing, African revolutionary, and just feeling, the feeling of knowing we're in the right track. We're on the right track, right? Knowing we're in the right place, being united with the colonized masses, how Garvey was. It's just a refresher every Sunday. So make sure you get your friends in here. Make sure you get your comrades in here, because this is so necessary to keep in your revolutionary heart and spirit uplifted and understanding that our victory is inevitable. Garvey said so.
It's inevitable, and our goals are inevitable. We just raised $865. All right. Hey, so we surpassed our goal. Doesn't mean we still can get more, so keep on donating, keep on sharing. All right. And yes, we will see you next week. All right.
Land back.
Land back, everybody. Have a good week.